Hello and welcome to another episode of the TF Cast. Today our guest is Dolly Baruah, who is a representative of the Remember Me Too movement as well as an organizer of the Sacred Sounds House. Dolly, welcome to the cast.
Well, thank you so very much for having me here. Such a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We got Jacob over here as well.
Hi. Dolly, would you just start off right away by telling us a little bit how the Remember Me Too hashtag started in Mankato? What were the circumstances that caused it?
Thank you so very much for having me once again. I'm an international student and I'm from India. Actually, the COVID hit it mostly in April, and our school shut down right after the spring break in April. Right after the spring break, so many students got laid off, didn't have job. But we were hoping that the university will come up with some resources for the students, and we waited for a month. At the beginning of March, I started giving calls to departments for asking for help or any resources that are available that students can use during the COVID-19, and realized that actually none of them applied to the international students. Because at the time myself, I didn't have a job because I was supposed to be in Hawaii working for Tulsi Gabbard at the time. But due to COVID, I could not fly there and I was jobless and the university shut down. I did not have a job. First issues happened with myself. I was looking for resources specifically for myself to get help. And then I gave a thought one night thinking like, okay, I am going through all this. What about the other students? I'm sure they are going through the same. And I just made a short post saying that, hey, I plan on meeting with the Dean of Global Education, Annie Dolphin. Plan on asking some questions. Do you have any issues that you want to share that you want me to go and speak with her? You won't believe I was bombarded with messages and emails. So many messages, so many emails, and I got bewildered. And I right away asked, like, okay, students have no food, no money in their pocket to pay the bills for the rent or for the food or for the utilities. Is there any help? Can you help us? And she right away told me that she cannot help. That's not in her power. So, but maybe she can help a bit with the food. And I waited for her emails, but she never got back to me. Then I realized that, this is something, a bigger issue that nobody is into looking at. That's how I contact the community, to churches and all, to see how we can gather donors to help students with the food insecurity first. That's how the Remember Me Too movement started, because during this COVID time, actually, we were forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's unprecedented, and it were a lot of people in the similar situation with you, where they had work lined up, but due to classes not being open, it was the opportunity to work was gone. Yes,
you should know, like over 200 students, mostly international students, work for the dining center, and the dining center being closed, all these 200 students were jobless.
Oh, wow.
And there were other departments where the students, including myself, got laid off. And the university did not notice at all. So we had to lobby with them really hard to make sure that there are some employment opportunities open up. So that's how the Remember Me Too were able to develop 200 on-campus jobs. That is how the COVID-19 archive in the library came up with.
Oh, wow. And there's other circumstances that that surround the issue. If you're a student, an international student can't just go pick up a job anywhere, right?
Yes, our situation is totally different. We just cannot go and simply work in a Burger King or Panera or somewhere. It has to be it has to be on campus, and that was the only means of our survival. The money that comes to our pocket is on campus.
So what groups in Mankato ended up reaching out to you? You said you reached out to churches. Who ended up helping you in the end?
it was mostly the common people, the community members, and we worked with the campus cupboard. That's how we started distributing food, and the donations came from different parts of Minnesota. People came with checks and even with groceries. That's how we were able to cover the food insecurity issues. The university could not help us at all. Didn't even send out a message out to the community saying that, okay, there's a need of food. Can you help? Nothing was, no help came. Just one help came was that the students were not aware that campus cupboard, now we are giving out groceries to the students. So we requested the university to pass the email to the students. So just day before they sent out an email, you won't believe there was over 70 students lined up for food. And then we had limited food. We just gave out, like in the beginning, we had to give out like one potato, one tomato, like that. But slowly, the community were aware what the issue was. So then now we are in a good position to give out. We are giving out groceries twice a week.
Wow,
that's really great.
You have one?
Yeah, I'm curious if if you know of other instances of this happening and at other schools too. If this is a countrywide thing or if it's just local here.
Yes, the Remember Me Too actually got attention from different universities. University from New York, University from Maryland, Delaware. So we kind of like helped. We did not only contact organizations from Minnesota, but international organizations like Seva International, UVA. They kind of gave us some resources with housing. So we were able to help certain students from different states to some extent. And what we did is that we sent them gift cards, like Walmart gift cards, to get their groceries.
Okay.
So we did help a certain number of students from different universities.
How has the university gone about? I mean, since the problem happened, I'm guessing a large part of it was that it just something they had not prepared for. And is there any path going forward where they're now looking into how they would deal with such a situation in the future? Has that been any part of the talking?
Yes, we are very proud to say, since we really had to fight hard, first time now an emergency grant for the international student have been developed, and we have a regular meeting with the provost to discuss these matters. The Remember Me Too committee with the provost and other university administrators. Now the emergency grant will be given out to international students every year. Before, we didn't have any this kind of grant.
That's really important that the school sort of contributing, because I know they really pride themselves in having a diverse international community. So
yes,
it's important that they
it's a good
treat
point.
those people
We
well.
really appreciate the provost that he took the initiative, because we put a lot of energy. The university, the state government, they all put a lot of energy in recruiting international students. But when the difficulty came, they should also put more effort in, kind of helping them out. But this COVID situation kind of made them realize that, okay, there has to be some resources on hand to help the students when such unprecedented times comes.
Because there's no opportunity for you to relocate either. I mean, it's not like these people were able to go home, right? You're unable to travel.
Yes. So, students issues came, students came to us, even though they wanted to go home, they were not being able to fly. One student ended up purchasing flight ticket 3 times, and all the flights got canceled, and he was stuck with no money, no food, and no place to stay. And that's how we realized that the homelessness was increasing.
So there were some students who were where that ended up happening. They ended up losing their home, and they were staying with friends or on the street.
Remember Me Too developed a survey, and from the survey, we clearly found out that by end of July, so many students will become homeless. And then we gave the warning, because we did together with the university. We went through the university, even though our advisor, Dr. Carol Glasser, she developed the survey, and Dr. Peru, our advisor for the movement, to help. but nothing was done. And myself, including myself, I became homeless by July 16th. And then we reached out to the university requesting them to open the dormitories, which they did not. So we ended up contacting the community to open their rooms to give out to students. And we ended up helping over 50 students. And just to let you know, these are not international students only. Domestic students were homeless too. So we had to help them.
That's interesting. And I mean, I've seen just from your social media presence that other things have been addressed. There were bicycles. There was some food insecurity in St. Peter or something. Did other groups start reaching out to you? How was that? Or is it something that, was took upon yourselves?
You mean for asking for help or to help?
Did you expand the scope, or were people reaching out to you for assistance?
Yes. We had students, domestic students living in St. Peter. They asking for help, and then we had to house them with some of the professors. For the food, later we had to open the food shelf for the community. So it's just not the students coming. Now we have families coming to get groceries.
Do you sense a lot of need still from the international students that going forward there's still a lot to be done?
Yes, definitely. We think that the shops are open, university opens, and everything is all good, but that's not the case. Even though the situation was fine, students, international students specifically face discrimination in getting employment or any kind of resources, and currently they're facing more discrimination. For example, if a company is willing to hire somebody, whom they will hire first? Of course, somebody who's a citizen, right? Not an international student, because they have a lot of paperwork. So they're still facing, unemployment. I wouldn't homelessness in the sense, not homelessness, but not having enough money to pay for their bills. So that's how today that's what we were doing, giving out Remember Me Too movement started this emergency housing grant. So we were giving out to 30 international students to pay their rent.
And how much money was awarded?
200 for 2 months, 400 total to 30 students.
Wow. And that was a grant through the university or through the state?
No, it's Remember Me Too. We went to community, and that's how we gathered the fund.
Oh, it was
So
fundraised.
this isn't the grant you were talking about earlier.
No, the emergency grant that we developed, it was like over $100,000, and over 300 international students were given that grant. But that grant the students was not being able to use for paying their rent or food or other things. It was specifically for covering their university expense.
Oh, interesting.
You must know that as an international student, you must pay your tuition and you must be enrolled. And if you're not enrolled, you have the chance of being deported because you became illegal status. And that was a big concern we had that hit hard in August. As an international student, we have to pay a one-time payment of health insurance in the middle of July. That's of $1,801. Student didn't even have a $20 in their pocket. Now they're figuring out how they will pay this $1,801 one-time fee. So we had to lobby with the Senate to make it into a two-time payment. So finally, they decided they split it, and one time we paid in the end of August, and the next we need to pay end of December. Still, many people, I had to borrow money, and some, people helped me pay, but there are some other students actually had to leave. They went back home. Even I will not take the name, but we have even some committee members from the Remember Me Too active leaders. They had to even go back home because they couldn't pay even that half amount.
So that was after the travel bans had been lifted.
Yes.
So that there hasn't been. I shouldn't say there hasn't been. Has there been any instances of people losing their status to be here? Has it changed anyone's
Yes.
immigration status?
Yeah, because they did not pay their tuition fees. They did not register. So if you don't register for a class, then you are not in the status of a student. Then you cannot stay in the country. So before that, also facing that risk, the students got scared because they don't want to go through deportation. And when the gate opened that they could fly, they just left.
Wow.
That's really hard to hear that's happening here.
Did that would that be an additional financial hardship? I mean, if you have to leave on top of that, is that like kind of, I don't want to say like ditching your education, but like if you have to leave because you're unsure of your immigration status, does that change how the university views you on coming back, or how is that for a student?
Yes, like in order to come back, if you have a valid visa, you can come back. But the problem here is that this is a like administrator that we are under. They change rules so fast. That is one fear. The second is that the student go back, and if their visa is not valid, again they have to show this bank balance, all the documentation. It's not like you can just apply for visa and come. Students have to show that they have $28,000 in their bank account in order to get the admission again back to the university. And during this COVID time, it is not just the students here staying are facing difficulties. Even their families back home, due to lockdown, they are facing great financial difficulties. So big issue. Like students who went back, it's kind of really hard for them to come back again to complete their education. And some of them, I guess, they have lost their hope because they had to decide whether they will survive here or continue their education or get deported. So, all kind of things they had to go through.
It's a big challenging decisions that a lot of people and families are having to make.
Yes.
Are a lot of the international students from wealthier families in their home countries, or were there a big variety of that too?
It's a variety. This is a misconception people have that somebody coming to US, especially this developed country, the family must be well-to-do, like have finance. But, actually, you must know that they sell their property and all to see their children getting that American dream education. So I wouldn't say that all the students that are coming here, they're from a very rich
Not
family.
always.
Yes, and that's why they come here and try to work as many hours they can get in the university, pay their bills, and do their education. But we could not make an argument like, don't think that we are rich and we have money. We couldn't make the argument before because the country, before entering here, the university asks you to sign a documentation saying that you are responsible for your finance. You are going to pay your bills. We are not helping you because as international students, we cannot get state resources. Okay, we have limitation on that. But what we requested is that because of the COVID-19, the situation changed. The whole world was suffering, and our families back home are going through same difficulties. So we were not being able to depend on them to get some resources. So that's why during just the COVID time, we reached out to get some help from the government and the university, but they kind of like shut their door on us, and we had to really fight the whole summer to provide food, provide housing, some job.
Because you didn't in any way qualify for some of the other aid that was given to citizens here then either. Yeah,
like the CARE grant that was developed. That thing is not applicable for international students. So there was no grant available for students to use other than some education scholarship that you get once a year, a limited number. So there was no resources. So like for COVID-19, like, okay, where do I go? Can I go there for housing? The students didn't have any resource. Like if I don't have money to pay rent, if I'm kicked out of the apartment, where do I go? There was nothing on place. So that's why the homelessness increased by end of July. And within 2 days, we had to house over 25 students. Within those 2 days,
No, those were evictions.
Evictions, yes, were not able to pay rent. And even though, because they were not able to pay rent, they could not renew their lease. And if they could not renew their lease, they're out. Or they could not sign a new lease because they had to pay security deposit, right? And they don't have money to pay security deposit.
Did you say how many international students are here in Mankato?
We have over 1,200. Over 1,200.
That's a significant portion of the population.
It's like 10% of the student population.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. And we were able to convince the university to create jobs, specifically those 200 students that worked at the dining center. That 200 job was created in the library, but they forgot that what about the other 1,000 students,
What kind of work was created in the library?
They need to gather stories about the COVID cases, and it's like an archive that they created.
How do you feel about the university? It seems like they're willing to work with you, but is there a lot of pressure? You keep saying you fight and you do all this. Had none of this done, do they want to help? Is that
in the beginning the response was not good. The door was totally shut down on us. We had sent multiple emails and all, and we had to take media help for our voice to be heard. And slowly we got some attention, and we wrote to so many senators, House of Representatives, Chancellor. Then finally we got some platform to speak with the president of the university, and then they decided that okay, we will have a weekly meeting to hear this concern. So that's how we are working together with the university now.
Of the people who you wrote to, like politicians, were any instrumental in helping you, like specific individuals?
Yes, Senator Nick French. He was very much helpful. Because of him, we were able to split the health insurance payment into two. Otherwise, the student had to, if they were not being able to pay, they would have faced deportation and all. So thanks to him. We wrote to the chancellor so many times, and he totally ignored us. We wrote to Amy Klobuchar, same thing. We did our best to reach out to as many we could, but we did not get much help. But thanks to Senator Nick French. I would thank Tulsi Gabbard too. Even though she lives in Hawaii, she did respond to us and said she will try reaching out to Amy Klobuchar's office.
Do you feel that all the other state schools are going through the same kind of housing insecurity for international students during this time, you would say?
Yes, there were students from international students from all the different universities. They were going through the same. But the thing is that under the Minsky system, our university holds the highest number of international students. So the concern in our university was really big compared to, you say, St. Cloud, or Moorhead. Yeah.
Did the other people who reached out to you in other states, in other places like that, did they have similar programs, or are they adopting the Remember Me Too? What's going on there from just what you know?
Some universities quickly came out with some resources for them, so we were just needed to help with a little bit of thing. And some started, taking up a Remember Me Too kind of stand we took, and they were also contacting other community members for help, for specifically food and housing. Yes.
To change subject just a little bit, I'm curious about the Sacred Sounds House. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. Actually, we have this club called Sacred Sounds Meditation Club. It's a university club at Minnesota State University, Mankato. But now we students opened this center Sacred Sounds House, free for the community and for the students. My 6 years of stay in Mankato, I realized that students, faculty, the community members, they go through, the common problem is the stress, anxiety, depression, and the fear. So the club, we do some meditation. We invite motivational speakers, wellness speakers, and they guide. And it became quite very famous. We holded community events, like over 100 people attending. Like in the February, we hold an event called Art of Meditation, Overcoming Fear, Anxiety, and Depression. So it was very famous. It went really good. Then we thought that we really need a space more open for everybody to come and utilize, with any background. So that's how we opened the Sacred Sounds House, just near campus. Easy access to students. Yes.
So students can go visit there and do a little bit of meditation or some yoga or stuff like that.
Students can come and use the space, to study or meditate. Saturdays we have feast. Because of COVID-19, we keep the limit below the number of students or any members coming, like to 10 because of COVID. But they're always welcome to come and join us for the feast. We cook Ayurvedic kind of food. It's vegetarian, mostly vegan food. Yeah.
Nice. And you've been organizing a lot of the Remember Me Too movement with the help of that space too then? Or
actually, we came up with the space just recently. We had to gather a lot of money to get the space. So no, but Sacred Sounds was active also in helping the Remember Me Too movement. For example, Sacred Sounds also gave some funding to fix bicycles. So from Remember Me Too, we were giving out bicycles to students because we realized that we are giving out free groceries near campus. But what about the students who live down the hill or far away? The transportation is not good. So we gave out bicycles so that they can come and get free groceries. So the Sacred Sound Center was being used to park all the bikes, and some of the funding came there to fix the bicycles.
Okay. It's a neat thing to have in the community. I think it's really nice. We visited there recently too.
Thank you for coming.
For one of your events, which was very nice, and you had some wonderful food for us to try.
Yes, thank you. I would like to say thanks to the community, actually. Because of the community, we were able to set up. I know Jacob, they donated also. So all the centers, everything came up because of the donation from the Mankato community. So thanks to them.
Oh, are you talking about the mutual aid folks?
No, it's just like individuals, just came up and knocked the door and put stuffs outside the door.
Oh.
Yeah, for the center. So you see the curtains or tables or everything, they're all donated by the community.
Wow.
Yeah, because we didn't have enough money. It was like an empty house. And now it's like no space to put stuffs. Thanks to the community. They because of them, the center came up.
Yeah, it's really inspirational to see like the level of organization that you've put together and the amount of work you've been able to do given the amount of adversity that you were facing. People try and organize, these types of food insecurity or housing insecurity all the time, and they're not dealing with that themselves. So it's inspirational. I didn't even going into this conversation, I didn't even imagine the depth of the issue. So,
yes. Mankato is not so big, but still the problem is that the people are not aware of the situation that happens because we think that everything is going well, but there's families that are still facing homelessness, families, not only just international, other families that face homelessness, food insecurity and all. So it is necessary for leaders like you all who has the media power and all to share resources, make people aware that, okay, there's a place for you to go and get groceries, or there's a place for you to go and get some bikes or whatever. So that is important. That me staying for 6 years, until last year, I was not aware of so many resources. That is the issue here. Yeah.
Going forward, will Remember Me Too. I'm hoping that COVID-19 won't be around forever. how will the work change its focus? Is it just going to continue to be about food and housing insecurity in the community, or?
No, our focus will of course like change. Now there's a different need. The need is that students are not having money to pay tuition. The need might change, but we will keep on working on in trying to help the students. Because even the situation gets better, the problems are always there. The thing is that we did not look at the problem before, and we think is that it is okay to go through this problem without asking for help. Or we didn't know that can we really go and ask for help, or whom we should go and ask for help. But now they know that there is this group that are working towards helping them, so more requests are coming. Yeah.
Well, the systems that were in place worked well when everything was going nicely, and I guess just didn't have a fail-safe for when things weren't going well. And, well, do you know of any other situations where the international students of a school have, like, been put in this kind of position, or is this pretty unusual?
No, difficulties is always there. It's just like nobody go and speak up. For example, if there is a career fair, you go there, how many companies are coming to the university career fair to give an internship opportunity to an international student, or employment opportunity? So this type of questions has not been ever raised. What kind of efforts the university is putting to present this international students culture, right? So there are a lot of issues. I have served as an International Student Association president, and I have seen these things, but it goes underground. Like we make a complaint and it stays like that. When I was serving as the president, the international students who were working for the dining center were treated really bad. They were not allowed to sit down if they are a cashier, but who are domestic students, they were allowed to sit. So we went against that, and so many changes happened. But underground, not in a bigger picture. So you think that everything is going fine, but actually it is not. How many resources are around near, or like a center? For example, we came up with a meditation center. If you look around the campus, how many centers are there for the students to go, right? Not many. So, but like nobody speak up because they think that, okay, this is not our country, who's going to listen to us? That's the issue here. The concern, the problems are always there, but nobody speaks up. That is the main thing.
What could be done to address these issues from the institutional standpoint better? Like how could the university listen to international students better, or prevent something like this from happening in the future?
Yeah, in that case, they must listen to the students' concern, give time to listening to students. I would say that International Center plays a very important role. You come from a foreign country and you come to this new country. You don't know where to go to whom you go and speak to. But they go to the International Center. But for this many years, what the center did is that they kind of showed that, okay, we are here to deal only with your immigration issues. You come outside other things, we don't know where to send. So sustainability director having in place this kind of position is very important for us, so where they can connect people and help students with different questions. If I had homesickness, and if I went to depression, I did not know where to go to. If I go to the International Center, I was not comfortable speaking about those issues, because what they presented to me is that, okay, they are there for my immigration paperwork, like I-20 or job something, not regarding what my depression or something. So this kind of resources needs to be put in place. Diversity, diversity doesn't mean that diversity like we are having many international students. Diversity is something like, how are you trying to learn about their culture? Are you giving them enough resources to represent their culture? How are you connecting international students and domestic students to learn about each other? That is important. That is what is diversity. You ask an international some student, they might stay here for 4 years, but might not have talked to one single domestic student. Don't even know the American culture that they were expecting to come and learn. They are learning by seeing, but not like a personal, like having a conversation. So that kind of resources needs to put in place.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that attitude about diversity among American institutions, where they look at it like a percentage of demographics or
Yes.
something, instead of, teams working together, or, real representation. It's like it's a number on a piece of paper.
Yes. So, you see there's a cultural nights that takes place in the university.
Mm-hmm.
Very less, domestic students attend. When I was serving as the president for international community, we developed a event called World's Got Talent. We named it so we can include domestic students, international students to be part of that event and take part. So to some extent, there were some connection built. But still, it's lacking. So it's just like the university, education is important. You take your classes, making sure that the credits, you're taking enough credits or whatever. But beyond that, they have a more responsibility to actually educate culturally and morally, right?
We had an experience with that where we we helped a friend, Mithila, with covering Sri Lankan Cultural Night at MSU.
Yeah, I know him.
And I was astounded at the event and how cool it was. But there wasn't really any white people there. I mean, like it felt like a private party almost.
Yeah. So it's not like just only the international students take advantage of the understanding American culture. Even the American students should take advantage of learning, the other students' culture. So if they go abroad for some reason, now all the companies are global. They are not like letting you just stay in the US. They will make you travel. And I had my bachelor's in international business. That was the big concern that we were talking in our classes, is that when somebody from America go outside, they cannot survive. They cannot survive because they are not adjust to a different culture. But like a third world country, they are so much more enthusiastic to learn about other cultures, so they are already aware. And when they are sent to a different country, they can really easily cope with the different culture than an American student working in a different country.
Do you want to start wrapping it up, or do you have more questions?
Yeah, I'm curious as to where people can, if they want to support the Remember Me Too movement, how they can best do that, especially here in this area.
Yes, we have our social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. We also have our website where it directly sends, shows the resources that are available for students, or if somebody is willing to help, how they can help. All these are there in our website that they can go #RememberMeToo. They can check that out. And yes, and I'm always there to answer questions. I'm always on Facebook. They can shoot me a message and I'm willing to help.
That's really great. Well, I hope we're able to continue to provide for the international students that our university so grandly parades around.
Yes.
It seems like that would be important to...
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is important. Making people aware about it is really, really important. Thanks. It helps.
Yeah. That's good to hear. Well, it was really good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Will. Thanks, Jacob.